Her torrid tale of woe will make Harry's rancid revelations in his explosive literary wrecking ball Spare look tame by comparison.
If I was a betting man, I would definitely take odds that these people are going down in flames.
You know,
All
what's
the trappings are there.
In a jaw-dropping royal shocker shaking Buckingham Palace to its core, officials have officially confirmed that the custody situation of Prince Archie, 7, and Princess Libe, 5, has spiraled into what insiders are calling a full-blown royal crisis. An insider tied to the Royal Child Welfare Office spilled that this situation isn't just serious, it's absolutely blowing up behind palace walls. Sources say both royal kids have been formally removed from Meghan Markle's custodial care after a sealed legal document was secretly delivered to Windsor Castle at the break of dawn. It wasn't one single event that caused this. It was a long chain of red flags that finally snapped on January 31st, when Meghan suddenly yanked both children out of their exclusive Santa Barbara private schools without saying a word. No heads up to the schools, no explanation to the court mediator, and not even a whisper to the UK liaison team, the very officials meant to watch over the children's welfare. Within just hours, a California school administrator filed a confidential alert titled "No Show Immediate Concern" that sent alarm bells ringing across the Atlantic. And it gets even more shocking. Reports claim that neither Archie nor Libby were enrolled in any new school for the spring term. No transfer paperwork, no academic files sent out, no sign of a future education plan whatsoever. By February 2nd, Princess Anne herself had called an emergency royal summit at Windsor Castle, setting the stage for what might become one of the most dramatic family showdowns the monarchy has faced in years. Witnesses say Princess Anne stormed into Windsor Castle clutching a red folder dramatically stamped "Immediate Custodial Breach, Markle Withdrawal." The tension inside those ancient walls was said to be electric. Every whisper stopped as the royals braced for what was coming. Princess Anne didn't bite her tongue for a second. She slammed the red folder down in front of King Charles and reportedly said, "We have tolerated image games for years, but this isn't walking away from duty. This is walking away from the children." The entire room froze. No one dared to breathe. The look on the king's face, witnesses say, said it all. That folder wasn't just paper, it was dynamite. Inside were documents that instantly set off alarms among royal legal teams and welfare advisors. Hidden within were records of canceled pediatric appointments for both Archie and Libe, a direct order from Meghan's own legal staff instructing aides to block any contact from royal education and child welfare officials, and even signed papers dissolving a £6.3 million education trust meant to protect the children's schooling in the UK. But the real explosion came from the bottom of that folder, a secret intelligence memo dated January 29th. Boldly stamped privileged and confidential. According to insiders, it claimed that Meghan had been quietly laying the groundwork for what's now being called a complete maternal disengagement. The royals reportedly sat in stunned disbelief. No one could believe how deep this went. Investigators uncovered a non-disclosure agreement linking Meghan to a powerful Dubai-based media financier, one that allegedly demanded she erase all prior family connections before launching her bold new solo brand. Internal emails from her legal team reportedly showed flat-out refusals to work with Prince Harry on his proposed joint custody plan, while leaked marketing contracts allegedly insisted that every mention of Archie and Lilibet be wiped clean from Spotify and Netflix projects tied to her name. By the start of 2026, royal legal advisors said the evidence painted one undeniable picture: intentional custodial abandonment. The revelation exploded inside the palace, sending shockwaves through every corridor as royal officials scrambled to contain what's fast turning into one of the monarchy's most scandalous custody battles ever. "This isn't co-parenting," a palace insider reportedly told The Times. "This is identity erasure." That statement hit the halls of Buckingham Palace like thunder. Princess Anne didn't waste a single second. She immediately authorized Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, to launch the Emergency Custodial Safeguard Protocol. Within the hour, a formal case was officially opened, marked with the classification parental disengagement. The file, thick with documents, statements, and cross-border legal directives, was dispatched under joint jurisdiction to both the Royal Chancery Court and California Family Court. That move alone made one thing crystal clear: the palace wasn't playing around anymore. The real turning point hit that very same afternoon, and it changed everything. Prince William, who had been in Manchester for an economic summit, suddenly left mid-session and sped back to Windsor in what witnesses called a rush of royal urgency. When he was handed that infamous red folder, the room reportedly went silent. He read every page without a word, then finally looked up and said with calm authority, "This isn't about Meghan anymore. This is about the survival of 2 children, emotionally, legally, and historically." The tension was unreal. That same night, Prince William and Princess Anne summoned an emergency crisis meeting with the Royal Advisory Council. Their objective was nothing short of explosive: to remove Meghan Markle's custodial rights in full, physical, legal, and even symbolic ties to the Windsor bloodline. Palace insiders say it wasn't about revenge, it was about shielding Archie and Lybe from chaos. For the first time in modern royal history, the Crown moved to trigger a structural guardianship, a rarely used safeguard meant to protect royal heirs from being swept away by scandal and media warfare.
And excuses to withhold certain information from me, restrict me from being able to speak about certain things to the public, that this national security matter is not bound by any.
It was the monarchy's most powerful legal shield, and they were ready to use it. Then came February 3rd at 10:20 a.m., the moment the plan became real. Prince William, joined by Lord Hargrave and the Duchess of Edinburgh, entered the royal legal chamber under tight security. Holding that red folder like it was a royal decree, he invoked Appendix 4 of the Royal Succession Stabilization Act. The room was charged with electricity. Everyone knew this was history unfolding right before their eyes. And just like that, the royal custody war crossed a line that might never be undone. The legal clause Prince William invoked hadn't been touched since the shocking abdication of King Edward VIII. Hidden deep within the royal legal doctrine, this ancient provision was crafted for one purpose only: to protect royal minors from being erased, displaced, or exploited. It gives the Crown the ultimate power to take structural guardianship, safeguarding both royal heritage and the continuity of the monarchy itself. When the Royal Advisory Council cast their votes, it was unanimous. What followed sent tremors through Meghan Markle's entire world. Overnight, both Prince Archie and Princess Lybe were officially placed back under the full institutional protection of the Crown. The monarchy wasn't just stepping in, they were taking command. Step 1. Passport freeze. Every international travel right for the children was immediately locked down, effective, midnight, sharp. Neither Archie nor Lybe could cross any border without dual approval from Princess Anne and the Crown's Child Welfare Council. Palace sources say this wasn't a regular custody order. It was a containment operation built to prevent any sudden moves, hidden legal maneuvers, or secret flights to non-Hague nations. Then came step 2, commercial lockdown. Under the Windsor Privacy Act of 2023, every form of commercial use tied to the children, their names, photos, voices, or stories, was completely frozen for at least 5 years. No documentaries, no podcast shoutouts, no branded appearances, absolutely nothing. Even the Royal Sussex branding was abruptly shut down, leaving royal watchers stunned as Meghan's entire public platform went dark overnight. Any move to use or profit from Archie and Lybe's image would now trigger instant legal injunctions in both Commonwealth and US courts. It was a bold and sweeping royal strike, one that insiders said left Meghan's entire legal team stunned and cornered. The message from Buckingham Palace couldn't have been louder. The Crown was back in charge, no deals, no exceptions. Then came step 3, the Royal Restoration Fund. Prince William personally signed off on a £12 million trust created solely for Archie and Lybe's well-being. The fund covered everything: trauma therapy, private schooling, 24/7 royal security, and supervised reintegration support. Palace officials made sure to emphasize that this wasn't for show or image, it was, as they called it, dynastic firewalling, a direct move to shield the royal bloodline from emotional fallout and future instability. But the aftermath hit hard and fast. The moment the palace confirmed Meghan had withdrawn both children from their California schools without notice or explanation, the Royal Internal Crisis Unit kicked into overdrive. Within hours, they reactivated a dormant safeguard not seen since the 1940s, the Royal Guardianship Protocol. This ancient royal mechanism gives the crown the power to step in whenever royal heirs face real threats to their welfare, safety, or public identity. And Princess Anne didn't hesitate for a second. As the head of the Crown's Child Welfare Committee, she called an emergency summit at Sandringham that same night. The high-stakes meeting brought together senior palace legal advisors, Prince William, and, via secure video link, Lord Alastair Pembroke of the Privy Council. The tension in that room, sources say, was absolutely explosive. The monarchy was moving like never before. The agenda that tense night was crystal clear: establish royal jurisdiction, safeguard the children's emotional stability, and shut down any attempt to rebrand or reposition them outside their royal identity. Every word spoken in that room carried weight. The future of two young heirs hung in the balance. Then came the bombshell twist. According to multiple palace insiders, Meghan's choices weren't random at all. Confidential intelligence briefings reportedly revealed this was the first move in a long-term media strategy. Sources claim that a solo docuseries was already being pitched to a powerful Middle Eastern production company centered around her narrative as a single mother fighting the establishment. The revelation sent shockwaves through the royal ranks. To the palace, this wasn't just a PR stunt. It was viewed as a direct hit against the royal legacy itself. In Meghan's alleged project outline, Archie and Lilibet weren't portrayed as heirs to the monarchy anymore. They were emotional cornerstones in a personal brand empire. Insiders said it was the final warning sign the crown had been preparing for. In fact, long before the media storm broke, the monarchy had already acted behind the scenes. On January 31st, a sealed dossier compiled under Prince William's direct supervision and verified by royal treasury auditors was quietly submitted to the Privy Council. What was inside, one insider whispered, was nothing short of damning. The confidential file reportedly held a complete audit, exposing alleged efforts to monetize the children's royal identity. Inside were legal filings showing trademark applications for Archie and Lieb's names across several countries, along with digital trails linking PR firms to plans for branded children's products tied to the Sussex image. Every page, sources say, painted a shocking picture of calculated strategy and commercial intent. That same night, channeling the fierce integrity once shown by Princess Diana, Princess Anne dropped a blunt and fearless statement on behalf of the monarchy. The House of Windsor will not tolerate the unauthorized commercial exploitation of children born into this institution, especially when it endangers their safety or constitutional standing. It was bold, direct, and impossible to twist, an unmistakable royal line in the sand. Then came the financial earthquake. Banking regulators in both the UK and Canada immediately froze multiple accounts tied to Mail Holdings, a mysterious shell company allegedly connected to Meghan, Archie, and Lieb, with one unnamed international investor in the mix. Within just 24 hours, sponsorships and business deals started crumbling, most notably a high-profile children's storytelling platform that Meghan had once proudly championed. But the real meltdown happened online. Spotify suddenly scrubbed every archived mention of the royal children from podcast descriptions, while Netflix discreetly removed thumbnails for a shelved project reportedly titled Raising Royal Hearts. Meghan's lawyers later blamed ongoing proceedings for the takedown, but palace insiders whispered a different story entirely. They claimed it wasn't legal red tape causing the purge. It was direct royal intervention. According to palace insiders, what happened next wasn't censorship, it was containment. The crown moved swiftly to erase every single digital trace tied to what they viewed as an active exploitation of royal identity. This wasn't just damage control, it was a calculated royal lockdown of information and image. In a historic move, the monarchy officially invoked the Digital Identity Protection Act, a rarely used international child welfare clause that hadn't been activated since the abdication of King Edward VIII. The language of the act is cold, precise, and absolute. In cases where royal minors face the risk of erasure, displacement, or exploitation, the crown shall assume structural guardianship to protect stability, heritage, and sovereign continuity.
Is this the moment everything finally falls apart? What Harry allegedly said behind closed doors could change the entire narrative overnight. As tensions reach a boiling point, one question remains. Was this a warning, or the beginning of an all-out battle?
This wasn't symbolic or ceremonial. It was constitutional power being enforced at full strength. And then came the shocker no one saw coming. Prince Harry was completely caught off guard. Sources close to his inner circle revealed he didn't even know the final decision was being signed until after it was sealed. His emergency request to temporarily keep custody rights was denied on strict legal grounds. Issues tied to travel restrictions, unresolved U.S. residency, and an alleged lack of stable income weighed heavily against him. The royal machinery had already made its move. The final blow arrived quietly yet powerfully, a confidential letter, hand-delivered by a royal courier and written with King Charles's full knowledge. The words were simple, stark, and final. Custody, guardianship, and protection of Windsor children now fall solely under Crown protocol. No comfort, no debate, no appeal, just constitutional finality that marked the end of an era and the beginning of an entirely new royal order. No reply ever came back, not even a polite acknowledgement. The silence was absolute, and inside Windsor's private council chamber, it felt deafening. When Prince William finally stood up to speak, witnesses said the air shifted instantly. His anger was tightly contained but impossible to miss. His words cut through the tension like glass. "We are no longer discussing reputational damage," he declared, his voice low but sharp. "We are confronting a deeper failure. Children born into the Windsor lineage deserve protection, not exploitation, and certainly not abandonment when they become inconvenient." Every royal official in the room reportedly straightened in their seat. The weight of that moment was undeniable. Then came the turning point no one expected. William presented a sealed affidavit, said to be written by a former Sussex staff member. Inside was a statement so shocking it froze the room in total silence. The affidavit allegedly quoted Meghan saying, "Let the crown raise them. I have an empire to rebuild." That single line detonated like a bomb. The atmosphere turned electric, no one dared to move, and even the most seasoned advisors were stunned. According to insiders, Prince Edward later confided to aides that he had never seen William so visibly shaken, not even during the chaos of the Netflix fallout. "This wasn't about Meghan anymore," Edward reportedly said. "It was about George, Charlotte, and Louis. William saw their future in this crisis, and that's where he drew the line." Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan's legal camp finally broke its silence, but their response only made things worse. They issued a cold, single-line statement dismissing the UK's legal findings as non-binding under California family law. It was distant, technical, and emotionless, and it backfired instantly. Palace sources described it as a catastrophic misstep. What was meant to sound firm instead came off detached and defiant, only fueling the storm that was already raging on both sides of the ocean. Without missing a beat, Princess Anne took command and coordinated directly with the Foreign Office to trigger a bilateral family protection clause buried deep within the post-Brexit Windsor Convention. This clause had never been used in modern times. It was created only for moments of total crisis, when a royal child faced verified danger outside British jurisdiction and parental authority was deemed compromised. It was a last resort weapon in the monarchy's legal arsenal, and Anne didn't hesitate to use it. By February 3rd, 2026, the unthinkable had become official reality. The clause was fully activated, the Crown had drawn its line in law, and for the first time in decades, the monarchy was treating this not as a scandal, but as a national emergency of heritage, duty, and survival. Every royal advisor knew the era of half measures was over. Then came the quiet thunderclap that sealed it all. A final royal bulletin was discreetly released, stamped with the insignia of the Lord Chancellor's court, and co-signed by the royal household itself. It contained only one cold, crystal-clear line. The Crown has resolved custodial dominion under royal guardianship protocols. That single sentence changed everything. In an instant, all remaining parental and legal authority once held by Meghan Markle over Archie and Lilibet was formally and permanently terminated. The decision was historic, irreversible, and absolute. Palace insiders later described the moment as the day the monarchy reasserted its bloodline, a constitutional earthquake that will be remembered for generations. In a stunning royal resolution, Princess Catherine was officially granted full supervisory authority over Archie and Lieb's emotional and moral development, working closely with the Royal Child Welfare Council. The decree made it clear both children would remain under constitutional guardianship within the United Kingdom until they turned 16. It was the final safeguard in a saga that had shaken the monarchy to its core. At the same time, Meghan's £8 million private trust was voided in full, officially ruled unsanctioned and non-compliant. Every entertainment license, endorsement, and media tie involving the children was immediately frozen pending a full financial audit. The system that once built the Sussex image was now under royal lockdown. Meanwhile, Hollywood's tone shifted overnight. The same studios that once fought for Sussex collaborations quietly backed away. Projects vanished from development slates, calls went unanswered, and deals once hyped as groundbreaking were quietly buried. Across the Atlantic, Prince Harry, reportedly cut off from major communication channels, was left negotiating behind doors that no longer opened like they once did. The royal circle had closed, and it wasn't reopening anytime soon. In the end, the so-called Markle era didn't collapse in a blaze of paparazzi flashbulbs or dramatic courtroom showdowns. It ended in silence, signatures, and sealed guardianship orders. The monarchy didn't waver, didn't fold, and this time, the crown did not blink. If you've been following this royal roller coaster, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think this means for the future of the Windsor family?